you read the title or saw the thumbnail. This is who the strongest woman or female in Demon Slayer is. Now, this is coming to my surprise too, but this is my first video mentioning Mitsuri, which is kind of crazy in my opinion. But this video is going to be split into 5 sections: Shinobu scaling, Mitsuri scaling, Nakame scaling, Kanao scaling, and Kanae scaling. While ultimately decide who the strongest female or woman in Demon Slayer is. First, let's go with Mitsuri, since I somehow only have a short on Mitsuri and don't actually have a skill for her. But her scaling is pretty simple, so I'll get into it right now. First things first, she just can't hit Nakame alongside base Obanai. She's also weaker than base Obanai, since her whole plotline is finding a guy stronger than her to marry. Of course, she likes and wants to marry Obanai. Given her moves on feats, her only feats are getting outpaced like the entire fight and just doing buns. I'm not gonna lie, she's easily the weakest Hashira there. The one good feat she has is she's implied to be able to hit Muzan, or does hit Muzan. Muzan just instantly heals it all. This is a pretty good feat since Muzan should be going all out because he has killing intent when I have literally no reason to hold back here. But obviously he's not using his tendrils, so he is holding back his abilities, underestimating them. But I don't think it's supported they would just like move slower, for example. This Mitsuri feat isn't as good as you think though, considering the fact Tanjiro is able to close in on Muzan, and Gi was able to save Tanjiro from Muzan. They're all able to close in on Muzan, so it makes sense that Mitsuri, being relative to them, should be able to hit Muzan. Plus the way her techniques work too. Later, you can see her dodge Muzan's attacks long range alongside everyone else. She can also close in on Muzan again alongside everyone else. And that's pretty much it for her feats. So in my opinion, she's like on a level of Mark Gyu, but definitely under him by a really good portion. I still say slightly above base Gyu, but she's closer to Mark than base. Now onto Shinobu section. This is mainly, as always, going to be debunking like all of her feats and saying where she actually scales. So I'll start with her outpacing Doma, stabbing him in the eye. This isn't Shinobu outpacing Doma like at all. Bro is mid-yap and tries to block it, and would have blocked it if not for Shinobu piercing Doma. Let's say for example, if there was a slash, Doma would just blocked it. I won't cover everything. I have like many videos covering Shinobu. I mentioned this literally every time I skill Shinobu. I'm just not going to say it again. But I will say, the mental amp Shinobu isn't blitzing Doma. Doma was only confused because the technique really tracked her perfectly and almost hits her. Her actual only feat is losing to base Gyu and Mount Natsukumo. Now, I won't sit here and call that featless, because in my opinion, the Hashira training really didn't make the Hashira all that much stronger. So, she's just under base Gyu. Now for Kanae, since she counts too. Kanae's only feat is fighting Doma until sunrise. I have no clue how long the fight lasted or anything like that. I'm going to kind of make a bunch of assumptions here, so you can either use this or just not use it at all and say like she's weaker than Shinobu or something. You also do know though that Doma was likely playing around. There's like a 10% chance he's not playing around, but he's definitely playing around like he does in every other fight he does. One pretty good thing you can imply is that Kanae is above Shinobu and Kanao as a team. They couldn't even be here in Season 1. This is because since Kanae lost to Doma, Shinobu thinks that her and Kanao would stand no chance because Kanae lost, even with Kanao scar their eyes. This is because Kanae should be on a similar level to holding back Doma, I'll get into later. Doma also states Shinobu does have the talent that Kanae does, calling Shinobu weak, pretty much implying that she isn't as strong as Kanae. Doma in fact doesn't imply anyone is as strong as Kanae, saying Kanao is maybe stronger than Shinobu, but not Kanae, which, to repeat myself, is supported by Shinobu, even with all her training, and Kanao scar their eyes as an option. Couldn't be Doma. Unfortunately though, we don't know how many abilities Doma used, and Kanae couldn't spill the beans of Doma's abilities before she died. But based off the Kanao fight, she would have used quite a bit probably. For Doma's statement that Shinobu is the fastest pillar he's met, he shouldn't be taken seriously since he goes back to immediately saying Shinobu is weak later at the end of the fight. Plus Doma says maybe, he isn't 100% sure. Kind of like how he questions if Kanao is more powerful than Shinobu. This isn't an 100% yes or no. He's wondering, he's questioning if Shinobu is actually the fastest Hashira. We also see that Kanae has no injuries and that her sword is broken. This in and of itself is kind of weird, because we never see Doma try and break anyone's sword at all, and none of his abilities do that. Now you could say this because the sun was about to come up, so he broke her sword and killed her. But that really can't be true considering the fact that Kanae has, again, 0 injuries and internal bleeding. Now, if it was close to sunrise, let's say for example's sake, 5 minutes or something, why in the world would Doma be out in the street, since we know that when he encounters Kanae, he's a literally in the middle of the road. How would she die from internal bleeding? The fight was so long. And it's not in character at all for Doma to just poison Kanae and run away. Especially since Kanae's sword is just broken. So a fight would have had to happen and been pretty long for Kanae to die to poison. Since Doma's ice didn't really even affect Shinobu all that much, he has a much smaller body than Kanae. And the ice shouldn't affect Kanae as much, as I just said. Again, she has a small body, plus Doma's claws are more talented than Shinobu. So the ice shouldn't be affecting Kanae as fast as it did Shinobu. So Kanae would have just not gotten hit by Doma in their fight, pretty much outpacing him the entire time, making it a cat and mouse game with Doma chasing Kanae, and Kanae just eventually dying out to the poison with her sword being broken eventually sometime throughout the fight. And it's actually pretty impressive since Doma holding back was pretty much kind of outpacing Kanao and Inosuke. I say outpacing because he literally just couldn't land a blow on him and only hit him like 3 times. So Kanae should be above the likes of Kanao, Inosuke, and Shinobu, being above that like base Gyu tier, outpacing them and putting her more on the marked Gyu level of fighter. But with all the evidence and her being applied to be above Kanao plus Shinobu, I really don't see how she's not marked Gyu level. Now, again, this is all not really provable, quote unquote, but take it as you will. She's close to marked Gyu, and for hating's sake, I'll say she's beating marked Gyu. Kinda crazy, I got all this from one panel, though I guess we're pushing agendas today. Okay, now that the massive Kanae yapping part is over, I'll secure her younger sister, Kanao. Kanao, as I said earlier, is questioned to be above Shinobu. But like I said, Doma can't be 100% accurate because of how much faster he is. But of course, he's still a great comparison for strength. So Shinobu and calling out should be relative. So now it's up for Kanao's feats to show why she's stronger than Shinobu. Now her talking about her Muzan feats. She fights alongside everyone else who fights Muzan, and is able to outpace one of Muzan's attacks to save the overnight and clash it with him. Keep in mind, Kanao is also part blind here, and of course, injured as heck. And she also dodged Muzan's attacks that blasted the rest of Hashira away. But Kanao could have just been far away compared to where everyone else is. Kanao is relative to Inosuke, who has feats on Full Check Muzan, and fighting together with 13th form Tanjiro, albeit that Tanjiro was heavily weakened. She also completes the Hashira training before Inosuke does, being on Tsuneme's part immediately, while Inosuke was still at Gyome, and then to Tsunemi. The reason I say she completed it first is because we don't see Kanao at Gyome's part. So Kanao must have been there and left either before Inosuke got there, or Inosuke got there and she left before Inosuke did. This kind of implied that Kanao is above Hashira training Dark Inosuke at least before he pushes the boulder, but Kanao would have had to push the boulder to pass, and she would have kept that lead because it's not like she just would have stopped training. Unfortunately, I don't think she's Margio level anymore, mainly because of the fact she led to Inosuke, who was pretty much called equal to base Tanjiro in the Hashira training arc. So in the Infinity Castle arc, when Tanjiro gets a mark and is to the Margio, Inosuke will only be a base Gyu rival or victim. Now for Nakame. Nakame has some pretty good feats, being able to stall base Obonai and Mitsuri for pretty much the entire castle until Yusho sneaks up on her. We do see she has like no EP though. Mitsuri comes out the fight with scratches, and Obonai has literally no visible damage. This is pretty much it, besides hers being upper 4. That's really it. So it's surprisingly it's actually pretty close among Mitsuri and Kanae, with Nakame in the lead. So I don't really see how Mitsuri and Kanae can beat Nakame. Both on the same level, Nakame just is way faster reaction speed wise. So ultimately, I'm gonna give Nakame the win here. But that just doesn't feel right. So I'm gonna give it to either Kanae or Mitsuri. Either is fine, because Kanae is really fearless at the end of the day. So if you don't want to take what I said, that's fine. So Mitsuri is the strongest female demon slayer. So hopefully this video helped show who the strongest woman in Demon Slayer is. Kinda a shame how it's not gonna make because she's such a bum, but Mitsuri is the strongest demon slayer who's a woman. Like, sub, peace.